let's talk about the Conjuring Universe. And trust me, it's a wild ride. We've got haunted dolls, sinister demon nuns, real life ghost hunters, and a timeline that seems determined to confuse everyone. But don't worry, I've done the research so you don't have to. Today, we're breaking down all 9 movies in chronological order so you can finally see how everything connects. And while you could watch them in release order, watching them in timeline order adds a whole new layer of foreshadowing and makes the connections between films even more interesting. Let's get into it. How are these movies connected? Well, all 9 movies in the Conjuring universe tie back to Ed and Lorraine Warren, legendary paranormal investigators who dedicated their lives to battling dark forces. Even when it doesn't feel like it, their cases serve as the backbone of the entire franchise. The timeline might jump around, but every possession, haunting, and demonic encounter ultimately leads back to the Warrens. Watching the films in order highlights subtle connections like recurring artifacts, characters, and even hints at future terrors. And many of these cases are based on real life investigations that Ed and Lorraine documented over decades. And while the movies take creative liberties, they're all rooted in true events, which makes them even scarier. And if you're a detail oriented fan, keep an eye out for hidden Easter eggs sprinkled throughout the films. Like in The Nun, where a photo of the Perron family from The Conjuring is tucked away in the Romanian Abbey, or in Annabelle Creation, where Sister Charlotte carries a photo of nuns from the very same abbey, another direct tie to The Nun. The earliest movie in the timeline is The Nun, released in 2018 but set in 1952. We follow Sister Irene and Father Burke as they investigate a Romanian abbey where a demonic entity, Valak, has taken hold. Valak, also known as the Demon Nun, is one of the most terrifying presences in the entire Conjuring universe. The film introduces the creepy backstory of the abbey, which is built on ancient unholy ground where dark rituals once took place. Valak was accidentally unleashed when World War II bombings disrupted the abbey's foundations, letting evil loose once again. The most important connection here, Maurice Frenchie, a villager possessed by Valak at the end of the film. Next, we jump to 1955 with Annabelle Creation. Released in 2017, this prequel reveals the origins of the infamous Annabelle doll. A grieving doll maker, Samuel Mullins, and his wife Esther take in a group of orphans after losing a daughter in a tragic accident. Unfortunately, their desperation leads them to invite something far darker into their home, an evil spirit that attaches itself to one of the orphans, Janice. Janice eventually becomes possessed, takes on the name Annabelle, and the demon's influence spreads. And fun fact, there's a subtle connection to the nun, Valak, appears briefly as a shadowy figure, hinting that the demon's reach extends far beyond the abbey. A year later, The Nun 2 picks up in 1956 when Sister Irene facing off against Valak once again. Valak has returned and this time is wreaking havoc across Europe, jumping from victim to victim. But the most chilling connection to the larger universe? Frenchie. Still possessed by Valak, spreading his influence unknowingly. By the end of The Nun 2, we know Maurice's possession is far from over, setting the stage for his exorcism in The Conjuring 2. Jumping ahead into 1967, Annabelle introduces us to a young couple, Mia and John, who are terrorized by the infamous doll. If you watch Animal Creation first, you'll recognize Janice, now fully grown and fully possessed, who takes her own life to transfer the demon's essence into the doll. This movie draws inspiration from the real-life Annabelle case where the Warrens intervened after a Raggedy Ann doll was believed to be possessed. In the film, the doll's malevolent power grows stronger, eventually making its way into the Warrens' artifact room. Historical connection here. The film subtly references the Charles Manson murders, which occurred around the same time, adding an eerie layer of realism. Here's where things really heat up. The Conjuring, released in 2013, introduces us to Ed and Lorraine Warren as they investigate the haunting of the Perron family's farmhouse in Rhode Island. Based on a real-life case from 1971, the Perron haunting involved a malevolent spirit named Bathsheba, who was believed to have cursed the land and terrorized the family. Even though it was the first film released, it actually takes place fifth in this timeline. This case establishes the Warrens as the central figure in the universe and introduces them in their artifact room. Immediately following the events of The Conjuring, Annabelle comes home, focuses on Judy Warren, the Warrens' young daughter, who faces off against Annabelle while her parents are away. This movie gives us the most detailed look inside the Warrens' artifact room, which is packed with haunted objects they've collected over the years. When Annabelle's evil is actually accidentally unleashed, Judy and her babysitters are forced to confront a variety of terrifying entities, giving us a glimpse of the vast supernatural threats the Warrens have faced. Now, this one's a bit of an outlier. Set in Los Angeles in 1973, the curse of La Llorona follows a mother, Anna, who tries to protect her children from La Llorona, a vengeful spirit who preys on innocent children. The connection to the Conjuring universe. Father Perez, the priest from Annabelle, briefly appears, tying this otherwise standalone film to the larger timeline. Though its ties to the main universe are loose, the Cher Priest makes it part of the official Conjuring canon. My second favorite movie in the franchise, set in 1977, The Conjuring 2 follows Ed and Lorraine as they travel to England to investigate the infamous Enfield poltergeist. While the case itself is terrifying, the real highlight is their face-off with Valak, who makes a chilling return. This movie also introduces a Crooked Man, another sinister entity, who was supposed to get his own spinoff. While the project has been delayed, fans are still hoping to see this creepy character again. The biggest takeaway here, the exorcism of Maurice Frenchy, finally freeing him from Valak's control, brings the timeline full circle, connecting all the way back to the nun. The most recent entry, The Devil Made Me Do It, is set in the early 1980s and covers one of the Warrens' most famous cases. This time, Ed and Lorraine investigate the trial of Arnie Johnson, a young man who claimed demonic possession as a defense after committing murder. This case, also based on real events, was the first time in U.S. history that demonic possession was used as a legal defense in court. It's a chilling case that pushed the Warrens to their limits and hinted at the sinister forces still lurking in the shadows. What's next? Conjuring 4 is set to release in 2025 and is promised to be the final film in the main Conjuring series. Based on another real-life Warren case, this film is expected to tie up loose ends and bring the saga to a chilling conclusion. Reports suggest it will focus on one of the Warren's most dangerous investigations yet, possibly delving deeper into the dark forces connected to their artifact room. Fan theory alert. Some believe The Conjuring 4 may even introduce new entities or revisit past threats like Valak or the Crooked Man one last time. Here are some fan theories and spin-offs that never happened. Speaking of spin-offs, did you know that the Crooked Man was supposed to get his own film after The Conjuring 2? Sadly, that project's been stuck in development hell for years though, and while The Curse of La Llorona left room for more exploration of Latin American folklore, a sequel never materialized. How do all these films connect? At first glance, the Conjuring Universe might seem like a collection of standalone horror movies, but look closer and you'll see how everything is actually connected. The Nun films introduce Valak, the demon who later torments the Warrens in The Conjuring 2. The Annabelle movies reveal the origins of the haunted doll that ends up locked away in the Warrens' artifact room. And even The Curse of La Llorona loosely connects to Father Perez. And at the center of it all are Ed and Lorraine Warren, whose investigations tie every supernatural event together, whether through cursed objects, recurring demons, or ongoing battles with evil. Each film adds a new piece of the mythology, making the Conjuring universe one of the most interconnected horror franchises ever created. So, that's a complete timeline. What do you guys think? Which Conjuring Universe movie is your favorite, or which one scared you the most? And with The Conjuring 4 on the way, do you think we see the last of the Warrens or Valak? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And one thing's for sure, the Warrens' work is far from over.